I really enjoy Mario RPGs. I feel like a lot of us experience the RPG format for the first time through Mario, whether it's Paper Mario for the N64, Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Super Mario RPG for the SNES, or maybe even the remake that came out last year. But there's something special about Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door that has me revisiting it every now and then. But I realize more and more that each time I do revisit it, there are some problems. Some parts that I remember being a chore or that can be improved on altogether. And if you're remaking a game, this is really the best time to patch some of those flaws up, isn't it? Hello everyone, so good to see you. One of my most anticipated this year is Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, releasing on May 23rd, 2024. It has a release date! I have recently been spoiled by remakes and remasters that are all trying to fight for the title of my favorite game. Where did you all come from? Now, for as much as I love this place, as much as I love this game, for as celebrated and revered as this game may be, it's not without its problems. Some major, others very niche in particular. And whether or not Nintendo addresses these things, it's kind of a toss-up when it comes to remade games by them. Sometimes they really want to preserve the original down to a very aggravatingly faithful degree. But let's think of an ideal world where they address my personal comments and concerns. Really just changes that can be made to the Thousand-Year Door to elevate it to become the very best Paper Mario game that's ever been made. Can't wait to see what you do with the place. There will be very minimal light spoilers in this. Don't worry about the footage spoiling anything huge. I am pretty much just going to be running around the world while I talk vaguely on some topics that veterans would already be familiar with, so fear not. One of the first things I think about, no, not the backtracking, we'll get to you later. Rather, it's the script itself. And a lot of it, honestly, is fine. Some of the best writing in a Mario game, and Paper Mario has kept a trend of being fantastic at it over the years. It's more that I'm wondering in what little ways it's going to change. I noticed that in the reveal trailer that this little bit was altered from the original. It was actually Goombella who said this line about the Thousand-Year Door. In context, it doesn't really affect anything, but it does make more sense that the professor is relaying this information instead. So not only might we be seeing dialogue changes, but also different characters saying altered or new lines altogether. The script got changed quite a bit in places compared to the Japanese release. Will Vivian be explicitly recognized as trans by the characters in the script this time? I don't know. Will these Goombas still hit on Goombella like they're catcalling her right off the streets? Maybe. Will Bowser... There's this one line from Bowser at the end of his journey to Petalburg where he's talking to a poster of Peach, and he says something like, "I suppose I could live with a silent princess. It might even have its perks." That, I don't know if a line about a woman staying silent being a positive thing is gonna fly in 2024, Bowser. I know you're better than this. I do hope they keep a lot of the dialogue as it is. There's a lot of jokes and phrasing that has this sort of Animaniacs quality of flying over kids' heads, but adults will get it right away. And look, please don't tell me you don't know who the Animaniacs are. I realize given this audience that that's a very real possibility, and it's aging me to dust. The Trouble Center is a place that you can visit pretty early on to handle problems of various NPCs in the game. They're like side quests, but only kinda? A lot of them really have you just running from one place to another, doing literal odd jobs for chump change. I think this can absolutely get overhauled. I'm the kind of person who gets invested in doing side quests, but if you want to incentivize it some more, maybe make the rewards more desirable? A lot of these have you getting just an average of 20 coins or so, with a few exceptions. There are some that grant you key items to play games at the Rogueport Parlor, or an occasional rare item like an Ultra Shroom. But I swear, most of these take you from place to place to place all over the map to the point where it just makes more sense to wait until later in the game where you unlock fast travel. I don't think I can recall very many, or any at all, requests that have you fighting enemies for a reward, something that you can totally implement. It'd be cool if you can get star points, unique badges, heck, you don't even get star pieces from these. The Trouble Center is ripe for improvements because there are runs where I literally only do like 1 or 2 of them, one of them being my next improvement. Have you ever played an entire RPG, reach the end, and then discover later on that you missed an entire party member? Maybe you missed 2 entire party members. Square Enix says they have no idea what I'm talking about. There are some remakes out there that are preventing this travesty, but will the Thousand-Year Door do the same? because there's a character that you meet over and over through the story that posts a unique request at the Trouble Center. Only by completing this quest does this character join you as a permanent party member, meaning they are totally missable and optional. I get the feeling of discovering something that not everybody else has, but party members are a little too major to apply this rule to. This member isn't game breaking or anything, far from it, but their overworld ability can be super useful, especially considering they removed the badge that had the same effect as in the original Paper Mario. I'm just not positive how they would implement them into the story so that you can't miss them. And if they sadly don't make this change, just keep an eye out for the new Trouble Center postings after Chapter 3. Speaking of party members, this leads me to talk about our little Yoshi friend that you may remember seeing in the trailer. This Yoshi is one of the coolest party members, not just because he's a scrappy baby Yoshi, but because he can come in an assortment of colors. You can have your partner be classic green, red, blue, orange, pink, black, or white, and it's completely random. Sort of. So it goes like this. When you receive your Yoshi egg, the amount of time that you spend with it from that moment to when the plot reaches that flag to trigger it to hatch, that's your color. If you pass 20 minutes, the cycle will loop over again until it hatches. And that's cool and all, but like, can I choose my Yoshi color? That's all this is leading up to. I just want to choose my baby Yoshi color. I don't mind pink or red or what have you, but let me pick for my buddy. Maybe they can slip in a series of questions to answer that determine the color. Oh, just saying that brings me back to answering Rover's questions in Animal Crossing over and over just so I could get a good eye shape. Remember those days? But yeah, I basically just want to choose my Yoshi color. And add some more too. No love for light blue or yellow Yoshi? Maybe add something to accessorize my Yoshi with. Boshi shades, anyone? This one is kind of minor and specific. In Chapter 2, you get to control a handful of little punies. Not long into it, you eventually lead a total of 101 of these punies at the same time. And yeah, you'll probably compare it to Pikmin right away. While they do follow pretty accurately, there's some spots where you need to position them precisely and then push them into a hole, for example. This gets pretty finicky, and I hope there's a way to move them more effectively. Or instead of making a giant long train, that they just follow more closely in general. There's times when they get stuck on edges of a wall, a bush, or just get randomly confused, separating themselves from the pack. This AI can definitely be improved upon, and even though it's just for a portion of one chapter, it got kind of annoying. I love the punies and the concept of helping them fight back for their tree as their Captain a la Mario, so I don't want to feel frustrated when I'm pushing them to where they need to go. I'm the one who's supposed to be bullying them. You know what, let's keep talking optimization here. There's a pretty big one here that can be applied to different situations. I'm talking about fast travel. In the first two Paper Mario games, you eventually discover blue pipes that can quickly get you from place to place in the world, all major locations that you have previously been to. This, of course, is meant to lessen the stress of going back and forth on the same path every time you have a side quest, or heaven forbid, a mainline story quest. This is probably one of the biggest gripes any of us longtime players have with the game. Call the Thousand-Year Door as perfect as you want, but boy, does it make you go back and forth a lot. And the blue pipes just aren't enough anymore. I got places to be. You know what you almost never bring up to use in this game? The world map! When you think about it, lore-wise, the most important item in the game. Oh, would you look at that? It would be so easy to just, I don't know, point and click to where you want to go. Oh, are you listening, game devs? I'm breaking new ground here. Honestly, I feel like blue pipes would be best to use within major locales themselves. Backtracking is present in almost every chapter. From Hooktail's castle to Petalburg, inside the tree, on the island, and oh boy, chapter 4. Can we please get a warp pipe from the town to the creepy steeple? How many bells do you want to fund this town project with, Mr. Mayor? Just name your price. The Glitz Pit and chapter 6 are the only places that don't really suffer this because of the structure of those stories, but that's really it. Nintendo, please, reduce the time it takes to walk from place to place. Which brings me to one of the most obnoxious quests, if you can even call it that. General White. Oh my goodness, this dapper chap. You have to go to so many places on foot to find this guy later in the story. Even with the blue pipes, it wears on my soul. And I consciously didn't cut him out of this image. You're gonna stay a JPEG. You're not even worth my magic wand tool, okay? Anyway, this can be quickly alleviated with a more modernized application of fast travel. Or, you know, just remove the chase. Maybe even significantly cut it down instead, kind of like with the Triforce Peace Hunt in Wind Waker HD. That was so very welcome. Wow, I realize I have a lot of issues with my favorite GameCube games. And if you can't, if you really, really can't, then for the love of Peach, bring this back. Do you know what this is? This is a badge. It is called Speedy Spin. Speedy Spin is our friend. In the original Paper Mario, you could tap the Z button and Mario would whoosh at great speeds. If you time your spins and jumps with good rhythm, you can get across the map pretty quick. It's a wonderful badge. It's partly why I don't complain about hoofing it from place to place in the first Paper Mario, because it occupied me with something to do while traveling. Speedy Spin does not exist in the Thousand Year Door. Why not? You have to just do the Paper Mario shuffle from screen to screen with no real option to speed up. Look at this guy. Is he getting slower? Not even the slow version of the spin dash is available to you. It's such a criminal omission. You do get faster travel when you have Yoshi, but maybe I don't want to have Yoshi out every time I want to speed up, in case I get into a battle, you know? Am I the only one upset by this? Am I yelling at the paper folded clouds? Please let me speedy spin again. Battles could definitely use some tweaks too, though there's something that I'm kind of torn on. As the story progresses, sometimes you'll see stage effects happen. One of the most charming things about the battles is that the stage play structure means that the audience will participate with you, or against you in every battle. When it comes to the crowd, you have some control, like before they throw a good or bad item at you. Other times, there are factors that you just can't prevent. Stage fog, falling backdrops, falling stage props or lighting, getting frozen or burnt by pyrotechnics or what have you. A freaking meteor that can fall in the entire battle in the late game. Most people probably never even saw that one. They're kind of dumb and cheap at times, but I sorta want more. And if so, maybe adjust it so we can have more control over these effects. Let us use them to our advantage instead of randomly freezing me at a very inopportune moment. In Paper Mario's first proper boss battle, you could hit this tree and use the environment in your favor. I would love to see more of this contextual gameplay, but maybe something that becomes available at times to activate manually? The theater motif is brilliant, and I think there's much more you can do with it still. Another quick thing concerning battles, I don't think this game is super hard or anything. You can make this game as hard as you want depending on how you level up. Level up your HP and FP evenly like a normal human being, or be like Daniel and go all in for BP. Call me a Boy Scout because we are showing off this badge collection. But if nothing else, maybe tone down the final battle just a little bit, maybe a little less HP. That is honestly one of the hardest fights of any Paper Mario RPG game ever. And if you lose, it takes a while to get back to it. If you know, you know. And also, can we get like a skip cutscene option? For those who do get stuck on boss fights, you have to watch the same scene over and over again as you mash through dialogue bubbles. This is RPG quality of life rule number 1 at this point. Please respect your players' times. Oh, speaking of, there is this little place in this game called the Pit of 100 Trials. They're a set of floors with increasingly difficult enemies, also littered with unique prizes as you go down. There is a really cool key item you get when you're halfway down. And look, this is just me being selfish right now, but I really wish that we could get this item sooner. It is immensely useful. And if nothing else, can we get like a quick save option in the pit? If you decide you're going to make the trip down all 100 floors, you have to really commit the time to it because there's no saving whatsoever. I know that's the point of an endgame endurance section, but maybe at least, as I mentioned, a quick save option that deletes after you load it? This place can be mentally taxing, and maybe just improve the prize that you get at the very end, because the reward for clearing it is just okay. On the topic of endgame and postgame contents, I got this idea after playing Super Mario RPG. I would love it if you could refight bosses in this game, only just more challenging than before. Boss remixes are so cool in remade games like this, and they could totally use a place like the Glitz Pit for this. It's practically made for it, and frankly underutilized after you finish the chapter it's in. I can see it now. After you reclaim the championship belt, you're able to accept invites for these special exhibition matches. Maybe make Rockhawk an actual menace? I secretly want him to be the super boss of this remake. Like, he went through a whole training arc off screen and now he's literally the strongest enemy ever. Pretty much do what they did in Mario RPG and contextualize it to bosses wanting a rematch. Or adding completely unique bosses too, like what they did with Booster. That gets me pretty excited. You know what else has got me excited? The music. Oh, those glorious tunes remade. I cannot state in words how excited I am to listen to the music of this game. With that, I humbly request a sound test. There was no sound test in the original game, so please give me like a jukebox and Podleys or something. Even if it's in the post game, I will take what I can get. And finally, this is such a little thing in a personal request, and it has to do with Luigi. My friend and spirit plumber Luigi goes on a little journey of his own, which pretty much mirrors Mario's, but in the Waffle Kingdom. He has some pretty lengthy and hilarious dialogue after every chapter, and I want like a visual, even if you do like a single drawn picture for each story he tells. People for years have been so enamored with Luigi's story and drawn so much fan art. I'd love to see a little something at least. It can be poorly drawn for comedic effect. I just need to see Luigi as grass on a stage play. Or just make a whole game, Paper Luigi and the Marvelous Compass. That's an easy weekend project, right Nintendo? And that's pretty much it, for now at least. We've got a lot of games to think about right now, but I really had Paper Mario on my mind. Are you as excited as I am for this game? Are you a huge fan of the Thousand Year Door who's finally going to play it for the first time? If you played the original, what sort of changes would you make to the game? Let us know down in the comments where you can, I don't know, smash a comment, leave a subscribe. We're also on Patreon, where for just $1, you can join our exclusive Discord, where you can tell us who your favorite party member in Paper Mario is. Mine is Admiral Bobbery, because with each passing year, I feel like I'm slowly turning into a salty old Bob-omb who's just about had enough. Thank you for watching, friends. Till we meet again.